Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a creator request, which is where a smaller band gets in contact with me and asks me to check out their work. This one comes from a group called Forstenet. Got an email that said we're a Danish progressive rock and metal quintet founded in 2018. The band's currently writing the sophomore album and expects to be ready for 2024. The band draws from diverse musical expressions, incorporating influences from 60s and 70s psychedelic and progressive music all the way to heavy metal, jazz fusion, and funk. The musical variety is reflected in the sound, which combines growls, distorted guitars, bass lines, and harmon organs with more delicate instruments like acoustic guitars and motive vocals and gentle piano sounds. I feel like I'm going to love this. Symphonic and dramatic elements are conveyed through layered soundscapes, including winds and strings and a choir from mellotrons, and the band places a strong emphasis on great melodies and strong choruses, seeking to captivate the listener with rich harmonies and instrumentation. Now, I know this was written as a way to pump them up. It didn't come directly from the band, it came from somebody representing them. But if they deliver on everything that was in that email, I think I'm going to love this. Let's dive into this. We're going to look at the track All We Touch, All We See. Kicking off a strong bass and a 6/8. A lot of tension here already. Really interesting. We're doing 5-bar phrases of 6/8. And that's what makes this section feel like it sticks around for so long. Well, even more so this time. We added 2 more bars worth of it. But yeah. Love those bass slides. Really add a lot to the section right here. Yeah, that grace note in there, such a good touch. Nice wide dynamic range as well, giving the quieter sections a lot of space to breathe. It's interesting that this part feels a bit atonal. The bass gives us a home, but it really isn't until this set that gives us a real sense of placement. It also is our ebb and flow of tension and resolve. I'm loving the little ghost snare rolls. Really nice touch to keep the intensity up here. Oh, we're back on the 6 as well. Yeah, I'm glad we finally punched up. We had a few repetitions of that vocal line, and I really was expecting it to push up about a third. We didn't get that until the final note, which was fine, but I would have liked one of those sections with that extra range. It's interesting, this is our third guitar solo, and they've all been different styles specifically. Oh man. I don't know if I should do this because it's a bit of a joke, and I'd feel a lot better saying it for a more established band, but it's sort of like a cardinal sin around this channel to fade out a song on evolving music. Um, but again, it's a joke. Forstenet, if you're watching this, don't take it to heart. I'm just, when I hear something evolving like that and an idea progressing, I really hate it being cut short. But I'm just, it's just my opinion. It's not like it's some sort of music rule that you can't do it. So many of the greats have done it. Um, but yeah, just for me, I prefer fade outs to be on repeated sections where nothing new is happening because I was getting into that. I was like, yeah, where are they taking this? Where are they going with this? The guitar solo is getting real good. And then I felt the volume drop and I was like, oh no, not a fade out. Not when I'm getting invested. Because it feels like a cliffhanger. Like I'm ready for what's next. But unlike a television show, there's nothing coming next. There isn't going to be a reprise of this moment in music to be an intro to a new song. So, that's just a personal thing, though. Don't take it to heart. um, yeah, this is phenomenal, though. So good. Um, I mean, just first of all, is the atmosphere of everything. I mean, the song has an ebb and flow. We have tense, heavily layered, heavier sections, and then we have quieter, more serene, not necessarily down tempo, but more chilled out, less layered sections. We sort of bounce back and forth between these two throughout the track. And so we can kind of explore this in two manners. One is the layering, and the layering tends to bring a lot of tension with it. These sections not only have a lot of instruments playing simultaneously that are all, it's such a precarious dance. I don't know who your producer is, but they deserve a raise. Also, your composer, because there's so many ways that this heavily layered section, especially with the growls in it, because I don't think we have the growls in any other section. It's just this one style. There's so much going on here, more than any other section in the track, and it could easily become a muddy mess that's just difficult to really get a grasp on what's going on, and it could fall into some lower fi styles of music that I think would betray what you're aiming for here. And so the composition does a good job of getting right up to that point of being chaos, but staying on the side of order, of structure. And then the producer just ensures that everything is mixed in a way that everything is clearly heard, that nothing really steps on each other's toes, despite the fact that there's so much going on at one time. And it's really about instrument placement and timbre and EQing things. Like it's a joint process between the composer and the engineer here to make this section sound as clean and clear as it does, while still achieving that grit that you're wanting out of it. And it is just done so well. And then to go, okay, we have done this difficult task of putting this heavily layered section together and making it sound really good. Let's put some dissonance in there as well. And like, you're really asking for this thing to teeter off the edge, but you don't. Everything comes together so well. It really, I mean, this is the first section, right? This is how the song opened, if I remember correctly. You're just you're just immediately setting the bar up here at like 9, 10, right out the gate. You're like, this is who we are. We have some phenomenal composition. We're not always going to do stuff as complex at this level, but you know where our cap is. You know where we stand right now, and that is just such a bold statement to say right out of the gate. Although I think this comes off your sophomore album. Is that what it said? So you definitely have at least an album and probably some demos or an EP under your belt. This is definitely the time you want to come out swinging. You just want to show everybody what you're made of, especially in a single. So absolutely killed everything that you would want to do with this track, both in isolation as a work of art, probably in comparison to everything else that goes on in the album, and also as a single, which carries its own marketing elements to it, where you're trying to show off who you are and bring in new fans and stuff. It's so good on all levels. Well, I can't comment on how it fits in the album yet, but given how everything works together here, I'd be surprised if this didn't work well in the context of the album. You guys seem to have a pretty good grasp on what you're trying to do and executing on it. So yeah, I got all that just from like the opening few bars of this track. Like I know exactly who this band is now. Um, but that's not the only style they work within either. We have a few others that are a bit more restrained. We have two, I think, sections that are a bit on the less layered side. And both of these show off different sides of the band in one showing off how they can stay layered, just remove a bit of the intensity, and the other one how they can do sparse environmental playing, especially how they showcase. One of my favorite things is the second quiet section was actually quiet. It was about a good 20-ish dB difference between the highest point in volume and the lowest point in volume in that section. I'm a really big fan of dynamic range in music, and you guys absolutely nailed that here. It's not something that every band needs to do, but I think if you're going to write progressive music like this and you're consistently and constantly going to be jumping between extremes, you want those extremes to feel different, not just appear different. And I think that's what really sets apart a great band from a good band, is allowing your work to express itself naturally with a full dynamic range. Um, and we see some of that here. And again, it just tells me who these people are, who their producer is, what their goals are. Um, and I can't believe y'all only have 200 subscribers. That's bizarre. Definitely need to get this name out a bit. Let's see. We looked at the two sides a little bit. Chops. The bassist. Love the fact that the bass is present in the mix, that I can hear it. Love the bass lines. It's not just pedal tones all the time. There's rhythmic complexity, there's melodic complexity. Love it. Everything. The guitar work shows off both sides that the guitarist can play on. More melodic and harmonious, and more technical and even noisy at times with some of the heavy dissonance we hear in some of these sections. The drummer gets a chance to just show off the pure robotic perfectionism here. There's everything is just really tight, just really sitting in the pocket the whole time. There were a couple of times when I got to hear the drummer actually show off a bit there at the end. I was talking about those ghost note rolls as like ornamental ideas. Beautiful, love it. Um, I'm going to assume that this just isn't a track for the drums to show off too much, or maybe I missed it. There's a lot of stuff going on in our A section, and maybe it was just that that was where the drummer was showing off, and that's just the time that I got the least amount of space to listen for him. But I am looking forward to some more complexity from the drummer, maybe in another track. This just might not have been the one for them to show off, and that shows a lot of maturity from the band as well, knowing when to show off your chops and when not to, all of it in service to the art itself and not to the musician, where the music is more important than the artist. I love that approach too. The vocalist, we had those gnarly, higher pitched harshes. We had a bit of a lower pitch harsh. We had the cleans at the end. Love all of it. Um, yeah, this is just, and then I don't know if you guys have, this is a quartet, right? Is that what you said? Oh, I must have missed this. Maybe they didn't tell me. I don't know. Mixed and mastered by Jans Borgren, the engineer behind Devin Townsend, Leprous, Creator, Opeth, Demu, Enslaved, Catatonia, Sepultura, Ishan. Uh, I mean, when you got something like this, you need an engineer who knows what they're doing, and getting a Leprous engineer is definitely the right place to go for this. Interestingly, though, I don't see a personnel list here. Did I have one in my email? Lead singer and guitarist, drummer, second guitarist, bassist, and keyboardist. So, yeah, I forgot about the keyboards because I was going to bring up some of the organ ideas that were present throughout, but I didn't know if there was a dedicated pianist or not. Um, yeah, really great, though, adding all the extra details around. I think that was one thing that helped elevate this just a little bit. Wasn't that it just had, the organ choir or the strings here or the organ itself there and these little ideas. Bands have used these instruments before, but to me, what helps this stand out is the variety of it all. It's never, this is the organ song or every song's going to have the organ. It's this section has an organ and it's doing this because that's what the section needs. It's the texture that it needs. And that attention to detail is really important for setting yourself apart as a band that knows what they're doing. Um, so, I mean, just overall, I feel a lot of passion here. Now, what does the song say to me? At this point, I don't know. We have so many moments of tension and release. Our A section, as I pointed out, is typically 2 bars of tension and 2 bars of release. Um, in a sense that almost feels like breathing naturally through our A section. The tightening of the chest, the inhale, and then the release, the outhale, the exhale. Um, and we even see this as we move from our A section to our B section, our quieter one, or even our C section, which is the other quieter one with the really great first guitar solo in it. With all those little ornamental grace notes and little flourishy ideas. Um, I mean, we have the tension of the growls and the layers versus the release of the less densely layered, more sparse, more atmospheric sections. And so I'm really curious what the lyrics going to be about because the music to me, at least on this first time, I didn't get a strong connection to. other than noticing this micro and macro level of breathing throughout most of it. The heavy aggression seemed to work against some of the more calmer parts, and even the outro had a bit of an uplifting vibe to it that seemed to push hard against the tension we get from the dissonance in our A section. It seems to be a song that's at polar ends. It's constantly doing something against itself. There's a schism, a division, a duality to it that I don't quite know what it's pointing towards, but I'm really hoping there's a sense of duality in the lyrics that these polarizing ideas can work within thematically. I think that about wraps everything up. All the guitar solos were solid. I wish there was more solo work at the end. Already went on that little tirade there. So yeah, I guess now lyrics. I'll be honest, some of this goes a bit over my head. The email states that the lyrics explore themes of disillusionment, authenticity, transformation, and the wholeness of life. It utilizes dreamy poetic imagery to create a sense of mystery and ambiguity for various interpretations. That ambiguity is pretty strong here. It reflects the complex nature of human experience, something that must be interpreted. The first stanza, our first A section, says, "Visions bound to fail, you echo vague ideals, pure beingness concealed, engulfed in grotesque dreams. Forge aberrant lies, profoundness imperceived, vast oceans to vapor, you rot here left alone." Now, there's a lot of really interesting visualization here, and the vocabulary is quite a bit higher than your average set of lyrics. But what I read about this is a lacking of vision, a lacking of, it says you echo vague ideals. You lack substance. There we go. So lacking vision, lacking substance, lacking beauty or even reality with the grotesque dreams, lacking truth, lacking deeper thought. It says profoundness in perceived. And then vast oceans to vapor could be lacking depth, or it could be lacking uh, an element needed to live, maybe lacking desire, something along those lines. It says, and since you're missing all of that, you're going to rot here alone. I've got a pretty good grasp on that stanza. The next one, though, with the frail thaw in your proud heart and the strain of this sage river so pure, thy domain is lost with thy hunger, thy facade consumed by the wave. So you're a person who has nothing, not even, not even just material things, but you lack truth, you lack deeper thought. I mean, you just have nothing. You're a vapid idea of a person. And through all of that, what you did own is gone. And it was from your own greed. Thy domain is lost with thy hunger. And it says, through this, your facade is consumed by the wave. Now people see you for who you really are. It says, and all emptiness now suffers while death turns to fraud, charged with life, creation you breathe. So you've lost everything. You are an empty husk of a person. People now finally see you for who you really are, and you get to create life. And I'm missing something here because after this, we just have a repetition of the line, all we see, all we touch, dreams within our reach, over and over and over. And I really liked this part. It feels very hopeful. The lyrics were hopeful. I picked up these lyrics during the reaction. It's a really great way to end this in a track that has been full of dissonance and noise at times. It feels like a weight in moments, a weight on our shoulders for this section to bring us up, and says you can do anything you want. If you can touch it, you can see it, You can dream it, you can achieve it. I feel like I've seen that somewhere. I don't know why. That came so naturally to me, but I can't say I'm that kind of speaker. So I've probably seen that somewhere. Um, and it's a really great way to end this track. But I don't know what it has to do with staring at this person who was disgusting, but no one could see it until they pushed too far, bit off just a hair bit more than he could chew, and they lost everything, including this, this personification of somebody who they weren't. The facade was lost, and people saw them for who they were, as a fraud. And then after that, it was like, also, you can be whatever you want. And so I'm missing something here that connects these two. Although there is a duality here, isn't there? Which is present throughout the music, but I feel at that point I'm grasping a bit at straws. I think the duality here doesn't exist. I think it's a lack of understanding how these two sides are supposed to be connected, and maybe that's true about the music as well. Anyways, those are my thoughts on Forstenet's All We Touch, All We See. Let me know what you thought down in the comments if you enjoyed this or anything like that. Above that in the description box, usually I put my stuff. Instead, we're going to put Forstenet stuff. You can find links to their social platforms, their streaming platforms, if they have an official website. Anything I can find, I'll put links for it there. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Make sure to head over to their stuff. Like, subscribe, heart, favorite, love, whatever. Just show them some love from the Critical channel, Critical Reactions channel. I gotta work better on this outro. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.